Hey friends, welcome or welcome back. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, I read a lot. I have a little stack of books here that I can say probably changed my life. These are nonfiction. So I think I did my 5-star reads a while back, but those were all fiction edition. I think about these books all the time. So I want to share them with you guys. We're gonna start off really strong on my favorite book ever. I don't think a book will ever top this, mostly because it came to me at a really good time. I was kind of in a weird dark spot in my life. At the time I was doing 75 hard, I was doing 10 pages of nonfiction reading a day, so this book was really great for that, and it is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna West. I love this book. I want to show you guys how much I have it annotated. So like you flip to any page there, it's highlighted, underlined. There's some essays that pretty much there's no words that aren't highlighted and underlined because I was like, every single word is hitting. There's so many amazing lessons in here, especially if you're in your early 20s. It's in sections of all the essays, and I would just like highlight it once I finished reading it, and I would just find one that resonated with the day. Like I did not read the book in order. I just looked at each essay and I was like, oh, I like the title of that one, and then I would flip to that page. I reread a lot of them. That's why I like annotating my books that are my favorite, because when I reread them, it's easy to find the messages that resonated with me at the time. Next book is My Stroke of Insight by Jill Bolte Taylor. So Jill Bolte Taylor, I first saw her on a TED Talk. She's basically a doctor who had a stroke and it shut down one side of her brain. And it talks about how she kind of like characterizes the 4 sections of her brain, and it talks about their different roles. I really love this book as well as the second book she wrote, which I actually can't find right now, but really interesting, and I love getting to know about how the brain works. So I really enjoyed this book because of that. The next 3, I'm just gonna include them as one because they're all the same author. The author is Brené Brown. So these 3 books I love of Brené Brown's. Genuinely, My Roman Empire. This book in specific, The Gifts of Imperfection, My Roman Empire. I've read it 4 times. I even have the work booklet that I've done, and I remember getting gifted it by my dance teacher the second time I blew my knee out. I was dealing with a lot of shame and just not feeling like I was good enough. And I grew up being such a perfectionist. Honestly, my whole knee thing, like I was blaming it all on myself when, again, it's out of my control. I remember just thinking, I didn't do enough work, that's why I'm injured again. I'm not good enough as a dancer. Like if I can't do this simple practice, how am I gonna dance professionally? Just all these thoughts running through my head. This book really helped quiet them and kind of destigmatize the thoughts I was having in my head and help me work through them. Again, I'll flip to any page and I promise you it's annotated. Yep. She has like exercises in the books too that you can practice, which are really great. But if you have never read Brené Brown, this is the book I recommend you read first. Following suit. Next book you should read by Brené Brown is Daring Greatly. I love this book. Again, I have read this book twice, I think. It's super annotated as well. Let me just like read a random passage. Like I flipped to a random page, okay? Compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. Yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, again, talking about shame, compassion. She has a parenting manifesto in this too, which it's cute because my mom printed it off and it's on our fridge, and it's really wholesome. If you search up Brené Brown's parenting manifesto, it's amazing and how I want to raise my kids. Really great one to read after Gifts of Imperfection. And then the triad, Rising Strong. Loved this book as well. It is less annotated but still has some highlighted pages here and there. Similar vibe. I just cannot get enough of Brené Brown's mind into my mind. Next book is also written by a person who has a PhD, And it is, sorry, it's a little ripped here, but nonviolent communication, very annotated. I read this book when I was going through a friendship breakup, and I was going through a time where like I had to have a lot of hard conversations. I felt that every conversation I was having with this person ended up in a fight, and I really hate fighting. It really helped me explain my feelings about the situation in a non-violent way, aka the title, as well as in a non-belittling way. Like, I wanted the person to know that I heard them and I understood where they were coming from, but also to share my feelings and thoughts around our situation. It helped me learn how to be a better listener, because I don't think I was really getting their side of the story or their side of things without being a little bit judgmental, and this helped me really communicate better in a more open way and dismantle the situation. And next one is a memoir. It takes a really well-written book to make me sob my eyes out. This book, I cried so hard. And it is The Happiest Man on Earth. It is an Auschwitz survivor memoir. Oh my god, why am I literally emotional right now? Really short book. I read it in a day. I think it just like speaks for itself. I've been to Auschwitz, and obviously we study it in school, but when you're actually there standing in it and realize the extent of things that were happening there, they don't teach that to you in school. When you see it for yourself, it's really like your stomach drops. When I was there, I couldn't stop thinking about how there are some people that don't believe the Holocaust happened. It blows my mind when there are literal survivors writing books like this. If you don't believe the Holocaust happened, go to Poland and stand in the middle of that place. This book, really short read, and it made me so grateful for what I have. When you're so focused on your life and your problems, read something like this, it zooms you right out. Next book I have, The Mountain Is You. It's also by Brianna West, which she wrote my favorite book ever, 101 Essays, the first book. This one is a very short book as well, and she just is such a good author. Like, she is really, really good learning lessons. This book is also very much annotated. If you like 101 Essays, you'll love this, or vice versa. If you read this one first, because it is a little bit shorter, it's easier to tackle, and it's more in a book format rather than like a whole bunch of little essays. My next one, I read the beginning of quarantine, and I've reread 3 times. It's The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I really like the 4 agreements that he talks about in this book, and I think at the time that I read this, I was graduating from high school, and I wasn't necessarily the person who I wanted to be and who I am now. Like, I've had a lot of growth since then, which I would hope so. It's been 2 years. But I remember having a moment where I was like, wow, my values are not aligning with who I am as a person right now. I need to buckle down and work on myself. This book weirdly helped me take some steps to do that. Honestly, me bringing it out of my archives, I kind of want to reread it. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And finishing this video off with a bang is another one of my favorite books, and it is Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. This book very much changed my life. It basically talks about getting 1% better every single day. My favorite thing that I learned out of this book is habit stacking, which I talked a tiny little bit about it in my last video, about how when I brush my teeth, I do calf raises and balancing exercises, which is habit stacking. I know every single day I'm gonna brush my teeth, so during those like 3 minutes that I'm doing my dental hygiene, why not throw in something I can do at the exact same time? I'm subscribed to his newsletter, so I get little things from him every week, which is awesome. And I honestly think I'm gonna reread this book because it's been almost a year since I've read it, and I just remember liking it so much. It's also very much annotated, as you can see. I don't really do a lot of book videos. Let me know if you liked this kind of video format, if you want something similar. These are the books that I can say probably changed my life, and I definitely recommend that you guys check some of them out. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me. I will see you next week on Monday. Bye guys.
Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to own.